What's up, everybody? I'm the Layman, and it's time for my analysis of the new RWBY episode. No, I don't have a better opening bit than that. Yes, I'm still wearing this hat. I don't care. So, this one was episode 4, otherwise known as Lighting the Fire. And, oh boy. Some stuff happened in it. Definitely some stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff, and then more setting things up for later on. Anyway, the episode opens with Yang and that scuzzy dude, which I'm pretty sure that's actually what he's referred to in the credits as. Driving out into the woods, nobody around for miles, and it's revealed that it's basically an ambush on her because, you know, she looked like such an easy mark, you know, socking him through all of the... Yeah, that was still a good scene. Yeah. Of course, if you're at all familiar with how Yang Xiaolong handles anything, the ambush does not go in the ambusher's favor, and she basically trounces them. And it's pretty satisfying. Anyways, get over to the bandit camp, which is really well done, really well rendered. But that's a whole different topic of conversation. And basically the thing that I've wanted to happen ever since the end of Volume 2 happened.
Mom. Yang
meets her mother again. Finally! It took him long enough. Like, seriously, who else was waiting for that to happen after the stinger for the ending stinger at Volume 2? Like, seriously. I'm still waiting for that to be fully explained, but it's a step in the right direction. I'll hold off on that for the moment. And their meeting goes about as well as expected, yada yada, blah blah blah. I'm on a mission. Where's my sister? And yeah, Raven doesn't really comply at all. So things are looking maybe a little bit dicey now. Cut over to Haven with you know what? With the RWBY plus Oscar / Ozpin. See what I did there with the name? I think it's also the... Never mind. But cut back over to them. Ruby and Oscar are sparring. And because, you know, she needs to get the whole unarmed combat thing a lot more down than she has. And she actually manages to, you know, knock Oscar out on his back. However, when Ozpin's in control, it's a little bit more difficult in that she completely loses. And then it's basically a bunch of blatant exposition about semblances, which kudos on them for actually giving some actual information regarding that, even if it wasn't really concrete or explicit specific information, but at least they're starting to define it a little bit more. So that's good. Anyway, cut back to the bandit camp. Pardon me. Again, I totally have rehearsed this beforehand. Cut back to the bandit camp, and, you know, negotiations are sort of starting to break down between Yang and her mom. Things are getting a little heated. Vernal's still holding Weiss's sword, which I'm surprised Yang doesn't notice that. Like, come on. Like, Although, even though that doesn't lead to Yang realizing that Weiss is there, the fact that she kind of backhands one of the goons through a tent, which was conveniently right in the way of Weiss's cage, that gets her attention. Which is basically Weiss's cue to break out.
What is that? Don't worry about it.
doing here? Well, that's my mom, and she could take us to RWBY.
She didn't actually sneak out in the dead of night like I assumed. But this still actually allowed them to frickin' meet up again, so that's good. And which leads to probably my favorite part of this episode and the funniest line in there.
Ugh. Your mom kidnapped me? You kidnapped her?
After all that happened, like, Weiss gets her sword back, much to Vernal's chagrin. And going back to her for a second, I promise I won't harp on this too long. She basically calls down a bolt of lightning. Lightning comes from storms, which often have rain in them. When does rain happen? Or when is rain purported to happen the most? Springtime. She's basically the Spring Maiden. But aside from that, and I'm surprised nobody else... Well, I haven't seen many other videos at the time I'm making this, like, dissecting that, which, get on it, people. But, yeah, basically Raven just says, fine, if you're gonna go through with your plan. She doesn't trust Ozpin, like, at all, and they don't actually explain why. Hopefully that'll happen in the next episode. But, yeah, she says, like, here, come in my tent, let's talk. And, like, all the bandits stand down and everything. And Weiss and Yang have a really sweet moment where Weiss just kind of, like, glomps her and hugs her and stuff. And given the fact that she has basically not been in contact with the rest of her friends for, at minimum, 6 months, at most, about a year, and, like, all the crap that she's been through, like, in that time, yeah. I think she's earned the right to, you know, like, show a little more vulnerability. But, so, that was sweet. And other stuff that happened that I can't remember off the top of my head. I'm not actually recording this immediately after I've watched the episode, but that was basically episode 4. And things are coming to fruition. I like the fact that half of Team RWBY is reunited again, 2 out of 4. But bet's still out on whether it'll be RWBY, who's technically looking more likely, or Blake that they meet up with next. Because you can technically make an argument for either. So we'll see how that goes. And I do appreciate the fact that they actually went in depth about the semblances a little bit. That was definitely appreciated. As somebody who writes fan fiction, like, this is good information to know. Especially if I need to create original characters to fill story roles. And judging by the fact that this is 4 episodes in now, I'm not sure whether the next episode will be World of Remnant or another proper episode. But I guess we'll see that next time. I'm still enjoying this. Things are starting to happen. Even if they're tiny things at the moment, they're still starting to happen. And I'm okay with that. And I will see you guys in the next video. Have a good week. There's a day when I